So what I've done so far, I cemented the glass in place, and I cemented the glass for the gauges, placed the gauges in their place, tightened down the screws, and right now I need to work on a mount for the speedometer, something to hold it right in place. I've got a bunch of angles here. I think I can come up with a shape of some sort to mount the speedometer solid. So I'm working on that right now. And after a lot of bending and pounding, I've got these brackets made, which I can fasten to the existing screws on the back of the speedometer, and I will screw it onto the main frame of the gauge panel. So I'm going to go about fastening that on and see how that turns out. Oh yes, and I also crimped everything back together. So there's my brackets. Speedometer is mounted in there, nice and solid. Turn this thing around, and yeah, I think that's going to work just fine. All right. I think I'm going to have to trim just a little bit off these brackets here so that my cutout shape for in the dashboard fits. And that's about it. Then we're going to work on cutting the dash. That's up next. Back on the DLR Roadster. Dashboard insert. I'll show you what I've done so far. So I had my template to cut the dash, and I placed it on there and traced out the shape of the template. And now I'm starting to cut the shape out of the dash. So after much cutting, I have the shape cut out of the dash to insert the gauge panel. Fits right in there like that. So there's the gauge panel all fit in. This is the back side. And I realized I was lucky enough to get these brackets with that dash insert. They fit over these mounts. Put a nut on there, tighten it down. There's another one for the other side. So let's turn this thing over and have a look at the front. Yeah, I think that's going to work out just fine. Speedometer looks good in there. You see all the gauges. And by the way, I did have a comment that, sorry for the hand in front of the camera, but I did have a comment that looked like a 1947 Pontiac dash. Let's flip this thing over again. So I looked that up, and sure enough, it's a 1947 or 48 Pontiac. So now we know. So now I've installed the dashboard into the car. And you can see there's a brace that goes across on the top, which I'm going to have to trim a half circle out of so that the gauges will fit into there. So that's my next project. I'm going to pull that dash back out of there. Go over here and start trimming out this brace. I got the insert installed and I mounted the dash into the car. I think it looks pretty good. So I would say that project's done. The dash has to come back out because next I'm going to remount these pedals. I engineered all the bracketry up in here that's needed. So we're going to see if we can fit that all back in place. The dash has to come out to work on that. We'll set the dash aside for a while. And maybe we'll work on securing the gas tank. We got do a little cleanup on the motor. We need to get new water pumps for the motor. A lot of things to do. I don't know what'll come next. Join me for the next chapter in the DLR build.